Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're taking a really fascinating look under the hood of your favorite free-to-play mobile games. Be honest, have you ever opened up an app just to grab that shiny daily gift, even when you had absolutely zero intention of actually playing the game? Yeah, me too. You're definitely not alone there. We're going to uncover the psychological machinery behind these daily reward systems and decode the exact architecture that game developers use to turn our everyday routines into measurable, highly profitable engagement.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the Daily Player Retention Challenge, the psychology of reward systems, player retention versus playtime, streak versus cumulative rewards, solving the hidden punishment problem, and finally, strategies for long-term retention. Basically, we're starting with the hard numbers that keep developers up at night, and then peeling back the layers to see the psychological triggers that actually solve those problems.
Section 1. The Daily Player Retention Challenge.
Just look at this staggering number right here, 75%. Literally, 3 out of every 4 people who download a mobile game will abandon it within the very first 3 days. 3 days! Games face this incredibly steep cliff right out of the gate, mostly because if a player beats the initial content, or, just gets a little bored, they're gone. Forever. This creates a desperate need for powerful retention mechanics just to survive that crucial first week. And honestly, this beautifully illustrates the absolute baseline we're dealing with. By day 30, medium retention across the board sits at a stubbornly low 4%. Even the strongest performers, the absolute heavy hitters of the gaming world, are only holding on to maybe 5 to 8% of their audience. The vast majority of players are leaving. So, how did top-grossing games fight back? Simple, they turned to psychology.
Section 2. The Psychology of Reward Systems.
It all starts with something called the habit loop. This is basically operant conditioning 101. A game sends you a push notification on your phone, that's the cue. You open the app, that's the action. And boom, you receive your daily login bonus. There's your reward. Over time, claiming that little prize associates a positive feeling with the simple act of logging in, which builds some serious stickiness. Before you know it, you're logging in automatically. It literally becomes a routine.
But here's the real game changer. The type of reward matters immensely. Predictable, fixed rewards? They're okay, but they only really generate moderate engagement. Unpredictable, variable rewards, think mystery chests or loot boxes, these trigger a significantly higher release of dopamine in the brain's reward pathways. Because you don't know exactly what you're going to get, that anticipation creates this intense, intermittent reinforcement schedule. It is highly effective at driving us to come back again and again.
Developers also heavily leverage FOMO, or the fear of missing out. By dropping in timed events, seasonal content, or daily quests that vanish after exactly 24 hours, games create a really strong sense of urgency. You're incentivized to check in constantly simply because you don't want to fall behind or miss out on some sweet, limited-time loot.
Section 3. Player Retention versus Playtime.
Now, here's where the data can actually be kind of misleading for developers. We really have to contrast these two metrics. Retention is just a simple binary check. Did the user open the app today? Yes or no. Playtime, on the other hand, measures the actual depth of that session. Were they in the game for 3 minutes or 45 minutes? Because what makes a user come back is not always the same thing as what makes a user stay.
If a game relies purely on those external login rewards, it risks creating this exact trap: shallow engagement. Players log in, grab their free currency, and immediately close the app. On paper, your retention numbers look fantastic, but your actual playtime, it plummets. You've given players a reason to show up, but absolutely no reason to actually do anything once they're there.
Section 4. Streak versus cumulative rewards.
To fix this, developers generally choose between consecutive and cumulative reward systems. A consecutive streak system, like you might see in Warframe, builds daily habits by offering better stuff for uninterrupted logins. But if you miss a single day, you lose it all and reset. Cumulative systems, however, like in Puzzle & Dragons, respect your total commitment over time. You might score a massive reward for your 100th total day in the game, and it doesn't matter if you missed a Tuesday somewhere in between. Streaks really target those hardcore players, while cumulative systems are a perfect fit for a more casual crowd.
Honestly, the very best systems out there actually combine both. To keep the game's economy balanced, developers will map out a full 30-day calendar. You might get standard, sort of C-tier rewards for your daily check-ins, but by hitting major milestones, say 30 total days, you unlock a massive A-tier prize. This keeps the economy from breaking because you aren't handing out premium items 24/7 while keeping that long-term motivation extremely high.
Section 5. Solving the hidden punishment problem.
But what happens when things go wrong? Let's talk about the psychological friction here. When a player is on a massive consecutive streak, forgets to log in one day, and gets shoved all the way back to square one, they don't see it as a fresh start. No way. They interpret it as a punishment. It's a massive demotivator. And at that exact moment, a ton of players will simply abandon the game entirely rather than hop back on the treadmill.
To solve this, developers use some truly brilliant psychological tricks, like a savings box or a piggy bank. As you play, you earn rewards that are deposited into a virtual piggy bank, building up real value over time. This taps right into the endowment effect and loss aversion. You feel like you already own those items, right? So you're highly motivated to crack open the box so you don't lose them. And it does all of this without the immediate threat of a daily streak wiping your progress clean.
But the ultimate way to close that gap between just opening the app and actually playing it? Shift to playtime-based rewards. Instead of giving you a prize just for showing up, the game demands a minimum threshold of actual gameplay. Think, play for 30 minutes today, or complete 3 matches. By tying the reward directly to in-game time and progression, developers force retention and playtime to move together in perfect harmony.
Section 6. Strategies for long-term retention.
All right, let's bring all these insights together into a cohesive strategy for surviving those absolutely critical first 30 days. To build sustainable value, developers have to start by streamlining the first 5 to 15 minutes of onboarding. First impressions are everything. They use dynamic difficulty scaling so you feel challenged but never overwhelmed. They connect rewards to actual playtime to encourage deep, meaningful sessions. They show a really clear 30-day schedule so you always know what you're working toward. And finally, they blend those fixed, guaranteed prizes with the high dopamine thrill of totally random rewards. Which leaves us with a pretty provocative final thought. We spend hours and hours mastering the rules, the economies, and the progression loops of our favorite titles, but when you step back and look at the incredibly precise psychological architecture behind every single login bonus, who is really mastering who? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I definitely encourage you to look a little closer at your own digital habits the next time a daily notification pops up on your phone. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.